Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Did they move public comment?
So a long time ago it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then they moved it to the bottom. Last time they moved it to the top so that people could speak on those policies before they voted.
Right, okay.
So it's back down.
Gotcha.
Is there a pattern for how we select schools? They're asking over here, like how we figure out where to do.
It's the same. I just keep them the same. The only thing that changes is who hosts the retirement dinner in May. I've just kept them where they've been historically. The only thing that does change every year, they change the retirement dinner, who hosts that in May. So that's why sometimes like Broadway is going to be hosting again in May because it's their turn to host the retirement. Yes.
All right, I'm going to call tonight's Monday, August 26, 2024 regular school board meeting to order. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Look forward to hearing information that's on the agenda tonight. And first thing on our agenda tonight is to approve the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I move to approve the August 26, 2024 agenda as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McCabe. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, no. All right, motion passes 4-0. Next on the agenda tonight is a moment of silence. If you would join us, if you'd like to, you can do that at this time. All right, at this time, if you can stand with us, we'll say the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing on our agenda tonight is highlights from board members. And I'm going to start on my left tonight with Ms. Laurel, since she had a busy week at the county fair, and she's a lot out there, so welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to apologize for missing the last meeting. As Chair Cross mentioned, I was at the county fair, the Rockingham County Fair, watching my child show lambs, and I actually did try to join in online right after we were done showing, and you guys were already done. So I'm hoping we can keep up that pace, and maybe it's not just me that makes everything go long. But yeah, it was a great week at the Rockingham County Fair. Lots of food booths and shows, and our kids had lots of successes, and it was really a great thing to see. And then it was my last fair as a fair mom. My youngest has graduated, and we actually wound up taking him to Virginia Tech. It was one of those rare times where we didn't have to go. Classes started at Virginia Tech today, so he didn't have to be there till last Thursday, which is why I missed the Thursday meeting, and I apologize for that. But yeah, it was definitely time for me to be a mom. But I'm looking forward to getting back in the swing of things. I did. I was very sad when I heard the school bus dropping off children on last Tuesday and realized none of mine would be coming home. So definitely, if you still have kids at home, enjoy it while you can. It's an amazing time. Be involved. Do lots of great things with your kids, because it goes by all too fast. And since it goes by too fast, I'm going to stop talking until we can get on. I just am going to take advantage of being first up down here on this end to say what a beautiful building this addition is. Thanks to everybody who came out this evening to see the new addition to Broadway High School. It really is beautiful. I enjoyed the tour with the students who walked us around and talked about all the different programming and things that we have. We got to peek into the JMU Rockingham County Lab School classrooms down there. Everything just looks fantastic.
fantastic. So congratulations on a project well done, Steve Reed. And as we said earlier, on to the next thing, which I think is Elton Elementary School, which is next on our agenda. I also want to my other highlight is to say thank you and congratulations for a fantastic first week of school. My kids were happy to go to school. I was happy for them to go to school. I felt that really deeply this year. I'm not going to lie. I was very excited for my children to return to school. They really thrive on having that structure and routine. But I know there were technology snafus this week, and our technology department just worked tirelessly to find solutions and to find fixes. And meanwhile, teachers were working double time because things that they thought they were going to do digitally, they were now having to come up with alternative plans. So I just want to say thank you for all of your hard work, everybody in the division for making the first week of school just go off without a hitch. I thought it was great, even though there were hitches. I got to take that back. There were hitches, but you wouldn't have noticed because everybody worked so hard. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Ms. Kate?
I just wanted to highlight the first day of school. It just looked like, from my perspective, that everything went smoothly, and it was such a bright day. I was up early at MTC, just there as an observer, and when the students started rolling in, the buses started rolling in,
Thank you, Chair Cross. I wanted to give a shout out. We had an opportunity, open house, to tour the addition, and thanks to our Board of Supervisors for supporting the funding for that project. And also want to acknowledge Steve Reed for his work in overseeing that project. Steve does a tremendous job of making sure that projects are done to a high level of quality, and he inspects very thoroughly, and he doesn't take mediocre work. So we appreciate Steve for looking out for the future, right? Because this will be here many years after we're gone, and we don't want it to look, we don't want it to be poor quality work. And also just want to echo a thanks to Greg and his staff working through the technology issues. You know, it's tough when you realize there's a problem, right? And trying to troubleshoot, figure out, you know, we know this is impacting teachers, transportation, food service, it hurts everywhere. And his staff worked tirelessly to get a better solution. I think it was better today, and we're moving in the right direction. So thank you, Greg, for that. And again, another shout out to all of our administrators and teachers for, I think it's what I would say, except for the technology snafu, a very successful start to the school year. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shipley. I do want to thank all of our administrators here at Broadway High School tonight, Mr. Sanders, and Ms. Smith, Ms. Nick, and Ms. Madison. Thank you so much for all you're doing here at Broadway High School and welcoming the kids back and getting them off to a good start of the school year. So thank you guys for all your hard work, and also our SRO here tonight. Thank you so much for being here and for the job that you do here at Broadway High School. I had an opportunity to go out to the schools, and I want to really give a shout out to our maintenance crew that they went back to night shift work this coming week, and on my side of the county, I don't know if they did it here, but they went back to a nighttime shift, so I know that's difficult transitioning and getting back to another nighttime shift and regular schedule. So thank you to all of our maintenance, everything that you do. The schools look great. One of the things I noticed in the new addition was the floors that they put down, and I like them. I think they look really great, and it's like a non-slip floor, right, Mr. Reed?
Yes, it's an epoxy coat.
Yeah, it's kind of, is that the same coat they kind of put in like garages and stuff?
It can be.
Sometimes. Okay, well, they look very nice. It was good to see the GNN network, it's the Gobbler News Network, and to see our lab school started up and to see the great things that will be happening out of that. This year they have 50 students, the way I understand it. Next year they'll have hopefully another 50 sophomore, and we'll have 2 more schools next year. So we're excited to see that coming to all of our county high schools. Thank you everyone in central office, that our staff out there that got everything off to a great year, start of the school year, and all of our administrators and teachers that are just doing a great job, fantastic job, filling in the spots that I came mention or talk about tonight. You guys are the reason why our kids feel so welcome when they walk into these schools. So thank you guys so much for all the work and the hard work that you put in for our community and for our children. All right, moving on tonight is to our action items. Our first action item tonight is minutes for the August 12th, both meetings, and the August 22nd. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of the August 12th, 2024 regular meeting and the August 12th and 22nd, 2024 special meeting as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Cage. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed, no. Motion passes 4-0. All right, next on the list tonight is field trips. Dr. Shipley, do you have that?
Chair Cross and board members, I have several field trips for your consideration. Spotswood High School FFA Big E competition, September the 12th to the 15th, 1 student, Springfield, Massachusetts. FFA National Convention, October 22nd to the 26th, 8 students, Indianapolis, Indiana. East Rockingham High School FCCLA State Executive Council meeting, September the 13th to the 15th, 1 student, Lexington, Virginia. Science classes, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, September the 17th to the 19th, 24 students, Smith Island, Tylerton, Maryland. And then Broadway High School FFA Big E competition, September the 12th to the 15th, 12 students, Springfield, Massachusetts. And then the FFA National Convention, October the 22nd to the 26th, 21st students, Indianapolis, Indiana. And I do recommend approval of these field trips.
Thank you, Dr. Shiplett. Board members hearing the recommendation of the superintendent, do I hear a motion to approve that?
I move we approve the field trips as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Burgoyne. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed, no. All right, motion passes 4-0. Next on our list tonight is our school board meeting schedule for 2025.
So at our August 12th meeting, Chair Cross, I presented a draft for the school board meetings for the 2025 calendar year. And there was some discussion and conversations about removing the August 11th meeting since it was in conflict with the fair. And so I am presenting tonight a revised school board meeting schedule for 2025, and I do recommend approval of this meeting schedule as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Shiplett. School board members, are there a motion to approve that?
I move to follow superintendent's recommendation to approve the 2025 school board meeting schedule as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Burgoyne. Any questions on comments on that? We did move to not be the same fair week next week, so that's nice. I know much is here across the fair is important to us as well as the community. So, all those in favor, say yes. Yes. All opposed, no. All right, motion passes 4-0. And last action item tonight is capital improvement plan representative. Dr. Shiplett, you have those as well.
Yes, Chair Cross and board members, I recommend approving Justin Moyers, Chief Financial Officer, as the Capital Improvement Plan Representative for Rockingham County Public Schools for this year.
Thank you, Dr. Shiplett. Do I hear a motion to approve that?
I move to follow the superintendent's recommendation to approve of Justin Ware's chief financial officer as the capital improvement plan representative for Rockingham County Public Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Burgoyne. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Kate. Dr. Shiplett, you want to explain that real quick, just what that is?
Yeah, so each year we work in conjunction with Rockingham County government to look at our needs in capital improvement. And so from year to year it could change. And Justin served on this committee last year. I don't know that we approved him to do it other than I said, Justin, would you do this? And he happily did that. And he does, I think he's a well-suited individual to serve and represent Rockingham County. One, from the financial piece, understanding the numbers, and also he works pretty extensively with Steve and Chris with transportation and maintenance. Casey Armstrong is the representative from Rockingham County government. And so they'll go around, look at, our enrollment, look at growth, and try to put together, what we feel like we need in the next 5 years, and talk to our, county board of supervisors about, what's next in terms of how do we address the growth in our community. So that's what that's a part of. And this board will get a chance to be, Justin will come and talk to us in upcoming meetings as they get into their work.
Good fit. Any other questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed? No. All right, motion passes 4-0. All right, that gets us through our action items and into our informational items tonight. And really happy to have our history supervisor, Mr. Bo Dixon, here with us. We're going to be talking about the Democracy 250 project and what we have going on this year for our 9/11 project. So, welcome.
Happy to. Chair Cross, Dr. Shiplett, and members of the board, I am thrilled to unveil the Democracy 250 project. This is an inspiring initiative designed to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 2026. Some of you may be aware that there is a companion state organization called Virginia 250. I serve on that committee as a former member of the Rocktown History Board. And in that capacity, we are continuing to partner with that organization, and this is our Rockingham version of that state initiative. Over the next 2 years, this project will deepen our students' understanding of democratic principles, civic engagement, and the historical evolution of the American experiment. We recently launched the project with our teachers during an August in-service at the Lucy F. Sims Continuing Education Center. along with an immersive walking tour of the surrounding Northeast neighborhood. Originally known as Newtown, this community was established by formerly enslaved people from the central Shenandoah Valley during the Reconstruction era on the grounds of Harrisonburg's formerly known as Hilltop Plantation. Engaging teachers in this type of place-based learning and local history symbolize the dynamic nature of our democracy and really how it has evolved since the Declaration of Independence in 1776. And it's that arc that we really want to capture with this project. From a local neighborhood that was once a plantation to a place where the formerly enslaved owned their own property in the wake of the Civil War, to a site that was historically segregated, however, with a school with the powerful namesake of Miss Lucy F. Sims, to now being a welcoming neighborhood that symbolizes the diversity of the friendly city today. In addition to history lessons within the arc of this past, the day also offered present-day civics lessons to our teachers, such as learning about the Northeast Neighborhood Association, otherwise known as NENA, as a pivotal community organization, as well as the internationally recognized Welcome Your Neighbor sign that was developed by Emmanuel Mennonite Church, which is actually located on Kelly Street as a symbol of diversity, neighborliness, and civic virtue. I've seen those tricolor signs everywhere. I had no idea that that originated from Harrisonburg, Virginia, but that is something that is spread across all 50 states and even abroad, actually. So that was part of our tour as well. To me, that captures the essence of Democracy 250. What does it mean to be an American in 2024 and 2025 and 2026 when we look at 250 years since Jefferson wrote probably the most important sentence that has ever been recorded in history? Of course, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. There's no greater sentence in history, in my opinion, than those words. So what does it mean to realize that statement and try to aspire to it? Newtown is certainly just the beginning of Democracy 250. That was our symbolic place to launch this effort. As we approach July 4th, 2026, our goal is to spotlight people and places across the Commonwealth and beyond the Commonwealth that embody and celebrate our national identity as Americans. So from, let's see, I may have to ask you to advance the slide there. Thank you very much, Mr. Gillette. So from Jamestown and Old Point Comfort to Antietam Battlefield and the steps of the Moton Museum, our project will illuminate powerful stories that inspire a more hopeful and a more just future, reflecting the rich and complex narrative that is the American experience. A crucial aspect of Democracy 250 is connecting our local histories to this broader national narrative. And in this spirit, I'm excited to announce that our upcoming Veterans Day and Memorial Day celebrations will actually feature a local story, and this is one that I did not know as a history teacher, that World War II soldiers from Harrisonburg and Rockingham County who served in Company C of the 116th Regiment of the 29th Division landed on the beaches of Normandy during the D-Day invasion on June 6, 1944. In the third wave to hit Dog Green sector of Omaha Beach. In fact, Harrisonburg Rockingham soldiers were the first to actually break through the German defenses in the largest, most pivotal invasion in history. So that's a story that really has not been told for some inexplicable reason, and we seek to engage students in telling that story and involving the family members of those now unfortunately deceased veterans. The next step in Democracy 250, that is the most pressing one, is the upcoming commemoration of the Americans who lost their lives on September 11, 2001. This commemoration represents a significant moment in our 250 as a nation. And Mr. Gillette, if you'd advance the slide, thank you. This defines our identity as a people and as a democracy because it's an event that many of us have lived through. And it offers profound lessons in patriotism, bravery, and of course, civic virtue. Teachers have prepared a range of impactful lesson plans for this occasion, and I want to take a moment to highlight a few. Elkton Middle School, as many of you know, actually has its own 9/11 memorial on the grounds of the school, which is a very powerful story in and of itself. So students will actually have some place-based learning there, where there's an actual I-beam from the World Trade Center. And I want to highlight that that was a tribute made possible through a collaboration by recently retired Bonnie Munger, who engaged students in writing letters to first responders that first year when 9/11 occurred, and the late Donna Mowbray, who communicated with Ted Olson, the 19th precinct of the NYPD, and have since maintained a friendship and a professional association in the remembrance of this annually. That's at Elkton. At Montevideo Middle, we have a 6th grade teacher who brings lessons with a KWL chart, meaning what do I know, what do I want to know, and what do I learn? Because a lot of our kids, of course, haven't lived through 9/11. So it truly is history to them. So teaching a 6th grader about the reality of the terrorist attacks in 6th grade, it can be a challenge, given the gravity of that moment. So this particular teacher wants to know what they know first with a KWL chart, and then shows an age-appropriate video that doesn't show all the details of that day, because these, of course, are 11 and 12-year-olds, but goes into some detail about what happened, and then ends with President Bush's address to the nation, so that students really capture the gravity of what happened that day. And students often cite this as their favorite lesson from the year for this teacher at Montevideo. Here at Broadway High School, I thought I would say my alma mater, Broadway High School teachers are taking a unique approach to emphasize the power of oral history. So sharing of their own experiences, because we all lived through it. I remember I was a student, graduate student at Virginia Tech. I was in War Memorial Hall. I was learning to be a social studies teacher. Actually, it was my methods class. And that morning the news came in and we went to another room, an auditorium, and started watching together. We all have those memories of where we were. Teachers here will share those memories and those experiences with students. And then the challenge will be to kids here at Broadway to interview another adult from the community and ask them where they were and what their remembrances are, what 9/11 means to them. Very powerful moment on oral history sharing. And then one last slide, thank you. As a division, we are promoting 2 online resources for this commemoration. The first is the Tunnels to Towers Foundation, which supports veterans and first responders through the compelling story of firefighter Stephen Siller, who actually ran through there's a little bit of a story here, I do want to capture it. There's his picture. The very profound story. He was off that day, and when the attacks happened, he heard the news like everyone else, and he was in New York City, ran to get his gear, and then by that time, I believe the first tower, the North Tower, had fallen, and he tried to make his way across through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which of course was blocked off by that time. So on foot, he marched his way to the World Trade Center, where he tragically lost his life when the second tower fell. So in addition to this very compelling personal narrative, this is a charitable organization that was shared by the school board, and we are highlighting that as an online resource and a particular unique individual story. The second online resource, and I want to wrap up with this before I ask if you have any questions, is the 9/11 Museum, which of course is the center for all learning about this event and located on the grounds where the towers once stood. This resource is actually an anniversary digital learning experience, and it will be on demand on 9/11/2024, and it will be available on that anniversary date, and teachers can show it to students at any time during the day, so they don't have to tune in for like an 8:30 broadcast. They can play it on their own as long as they register with the 9/11 Museum. And one of the coolest things about this is that they have the opportunity to actually ask questions live to members of the museum staff, as well as some of the people that are featured in the film. And I'll take a moment, it's only a 2-minute preview of what the film is, and I thought we could show that this evening. So bear with me here, we're gonna take a look at this. My apologies that you have to turn and crane your neck, but let's go ahead and take a look.
Just start talking.
On September 11 in the morning, we're at the end of a 24-hour shift.
It was an exceptionally beautiful day.
As I left class, I noticed there was something different. There was something off.
We hear a huge bang on the door of the firehouse.
One of the fire officers came rushing into the office.
saying that a plane, a small plane, just hit the World Trade Center.
We just saw the fireball, the smoke, like an explosion.
Watching the North Tower fall, I sort of collapsed and fell with it.
And then the radios went silent.
The difference between life and death was just.
This September, in commemoration of the 23rd anniversary of 9/11, we invite you to join us for the 9/11 Anniversary Digital Learning Experience. During this interactive program, available on demand, you'll hear from 5 ordinary individuals with extraordinary stories to share. From right here in the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. Join a community of over 3 million people from around the world who have participated in this program to remember 9/11 and appreciate its ongoing legacy today.
The noise was insane, and we can't believe that we are alive.
We had no idea that we were covered from head to toe.
You did see some horrors, but you also saw some great things done by regular people.
9/12 and 9/13 and 9/14 were some of the best days because we were never more united.
In the darkest of night, that you see the most beautiful light, but it is true, I saw it. I've seen the best of what human beings are capable of.
That's a short 2-minute preview of what will be a 30-minute film. Very much in the thinking of the Broadway teachers is very much oral history and remembrances. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
I guess I have one. Since it is fairly reasonably short distance, is there any in the 2 years thought of how could we take a field trip? Could we go? I mean, we have all these field trips all over, and I just think that would be really cool.
To the 9/11 site in New York.
Is it, maybe?
I'm game.
I'm game.
I've actually not, my sister lives on the Lower East Side, and I'm embarrassed to say I've never actually been. But yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do.
I went while they were still building it, and it was hard while they were still building it, but I think that's something that would be cool. I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like it's that far from here, so maybe just a thought, something.
I know a local that can set it up. But absolutely, I have to think about who and how, but definitely interesting.
Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for putting this together. And also making sure that also want to say thank you to Dr. Shipple as well, because this was also a board, really important to the board to make sure that our students were getting the full history of 9/11. Because, like you said earlier, they wasn't born at this time, right? And so, for everyone in here that was during that time, you know where you was at, you know how you felt, you can remember what was happening in life at that time, and the world stood still, right? And I remember I drove all the way up to Portland, Maine to see my mother, and our flights was canceled, and one of the things that got me was there was no airplanes in the sky for quite some time, like 2 weeks or something. But the really cool thing that I remember looking back on it was just the togetherness that we had as a nation for a short moment. From Harrisonburg to Portland, Maine, across every bridge was an American flag. And there was just such a it was really cool to experience. But something that our students right now, they didn't experience that. So thank you for all you do. Thank you for making sure that they're hearing this. Broadway, really cool getting the oral history here, bringing people in to be able to tell their stories, because wow, it's so powerful when like you were talking about where you were at in college and going and watching it on TV and seeing that. We all have those stories. So thank you so much for doing that. Anybody else? No? All right. Okay.
Is this something, Mr. Martin, did you put it together? I ask because, like when I look up CKLA or the language arts curriculum, like I find all kinds of stuff online, and I find the stuff in child teachers and all that. When I looked this up, I couldn't find anything. I found America 250.
It's all kind of under that umbrella. Democracy 250 was my provide choice and language to emphasize democratic values and virtues, to really make a civics focus, but it's all under the umbrella of the National 250 and then of course the Virginia 250, which is a state organization through the Hampton administration. We very much kind of make it our own, but within aligning with their goals as well. So if you want more information, I'm happy to provide it, but it would definitely be in line with what Virginia 250 is doing, just on a local level. Happy to. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
Yeah, just a point of clarification there. I just want to make sure, I believe it was Mrs. Mowbray that retired. Unfortunately, Mrs. Bonnie Munger had passed away. I think maybe we have those reversed in the presentation, so I just want to make sure that we...
My apologies.
That's okay. I just want to make sure we don't alarm people.
Yes.
We'll get the right information out there.
Next on our list tonight is an enrollment update. Dr. Shipley, please have that. With that.
Okay, Chair Cross and board members, I want to just give you where we are with enrollment as of Friday. I didn't pull these numbers today. So if you look, this is enrollment pre-K through 12. Looking at the Friday 8/23, you'll see 11,726 students. And if you will recall at our last meeting, I said there was a projected number of 11,702. So we have a few more students than we projected. And I was worried at that meeting we would have fewer. Just thinking, maybe some kids would have relocated and not told us. And then comparing this to last year, at this time, Friday, the first week of school, we had 11,441. So we have about 285 more students this year than we did last year at this point in time. So I just wanted to share that with you, and then hopefully maybe in an upcoming meeting we can give you another update once we get to sort of day 10 and we have a good sense of where we are with those numbers. Any questions about enrollment?
It looked like the biggest increase was from 9 through 12. Now, was that across the county? Like, was it sort of, or was it all one school, or do you know?
I do not have those numbers per school. I can get those for you per school. I think there was definite growth in some specific schools and specific areas. So I can give you, maybe at day 10, what I can do is bring you some numbers per school to look at what the growth is.
Okay, and I'm just curious, is that
That's a good question.
They're prepared for it, right? Like, is that normal to go up 260 or around whatever it was?
Yeah, so one of our practices throughout the summer is we meet as an executive leadership team and we look at enrollment numbers, especially elementary, where 10 or 12 kids to a particular grade level can make a significant difference. And so we watch and track those numbers. And I feel pretty confident where we are at the elementary level. And middle school, I know without looking, those numbers are really good. It would be a matter of taking a look at our high schools. But in many cases, they have ways to maneuver students and make sure classes aren't overcrowded. But I would be happy to bring the numbers to you per school so you can look at where we are.
Especially cover on redistrict, see the numbers where they're at.
We do that monthly, just to, you don't have to have it here, but you just.
If you want me to present,
I don't need a presentation every month, but I would like one for it.
sure, I'd be happy to.
I think it's been great, but. You're not busy, are you?
Just hanging out. All right.
Any other questions, actually, on enrollment update? All right, next year up on the comprehensive plan draft.
So we've had a couple of open work sessions where we've talked about the comprehensive plan and where we're trying to go, sort of big picture, where we want to get to in the next 5 years. and thinking about some of those maybe steps that we're going to accomplish hopefully this year. Some of them we have really accomplished. And I wanted to, at our last meeting, we kind of just did sort of some brainstorming, talk about ideas. And I asked the board, as an individual member, what will be your legacy when you're no longer a board member? What do you want to point to and say, I was a part of instituting that thing or building this program, right? What do you want to be known for as a board member? And so Rockingham County Vision, currently I think you can find it somewhere on the website, Educate Today's Learner, Developing Tomorrow's Future, which sounds pretty much like most vision statements. But last year I began using a little bit of this mantra about when our students graduate, we want them to either be employed, enlisted, or enrolled. Something very concrete. We can check a box. We can know that this is what they're doing. I added the word empowered because I think that came up a lot during our conversations, right? Empowering students to do these things. So we kind of developed sort of 6 focus areas or categories. I'm not exactly sure what we'll land on when it's over about how we capture this. But one of the focus areas is safety. I think that's important to all of us. And so as we talked, that this came up, hire a school safety director. Well, that's been accomplished. We've done that. Mr. Bailey is sitting here tonight. SROs at all schools. Currently we have them at 12. Currently we have 12 SROs. So if you're thinking long term, that means 13 more. Drug awareness program. Increase of bus safety. Conversations about upgrading technology on buses to increase quality of cameras. I know this past week we had a little issue on the bus, and we looked at the camera footage, and it was not very helpful, right? So looking at what does that look like, and maybe including some stop-arm cameras, and then also increasing security cameras within our schools. Conversation, something we looked into last year was trying to find a way that the 911 center could tap in and see our video cameras if there was an emergency. And because we have, I think, 3 different brands or styles of cameras, it was almost impossible for us to make that happen. So thinking about, is that something in the future? And I know Mr. Bailey's out working hard on, getting information about these things, but it would maybe be nice to have some consistency, right? And how we do about that. So again, this is not everything, but these are some of the conversations, sort of, we would say we get the conversation started. Here's where we are. Academic excellence was another area that we discussed. So part of the Code of Virginia says that we have to address at-risk students. That has to be built into the program. But also special ed students, English language students, exceptional students. So what do we want to do to meet their needs? We have the lab school with JMU and Blue Ridge Community College. That, as Mr. Cross mentioned earlier, that has started this year at Broadway and Rockingham with 50 students in each of those schools. And we hope to expand that and grow it. We had conversations about securing land lab property for MTC farm and agricultural programs. We talked about addressing learning loss from COVID, whether looking at after-school tutoring, if that's the best way to approach that, if there's another way, looking at summer school, and then also we have worked the last 3 years really hard at elementary literacy, and Virginia Literacy Act now compels school divisions to follow the science of reading, and we've been trying to do that in earnest the last 3 years. I think when I look at elementary instruction, I think the next thing on the horizon would be math, and how do we help our students with math and bridge that gap. And so we were having conversations about looking at math specialists to teach all math classes in elementary school. So again, this is all on a Google slide that can easily be edited and manipulated, but these are conversations that we started talking about. The third area, our focus area, was employee recruitment and retention. So developing initiatives that increase working conditions while also maintaining high expectations. Continue with grow your own programs and explore other opportunities. What else could we do? And then additional planning time for elementary school teachers. I think if you've been around education at all, you've known there's always been somewhat of a disparity between elementary and secondary. And so what does that look like? And go back up to the math specialist, maybe that's a way to address that concern. Sense of community. create a school culture where families and students feel like they belong, develop additional programs where all students can be involved in school activities. That was something where, a lot of board members expressed. When students are involved in school, it gives them a reason to go to school besides reading and math. So what does that look like to incorporate more opportunities, right? Because not every student's involved in something. So what does that look like? And then increase parent engagement and outreach, and then also increase community partnerships. And again, we have tremendous community partners, but how do we expand those and build upon those? Focus area number 5, student behavioral health and wellness. Develop high expectations for student behavior. Complete a discipline matrix for consistency. Develop programs to support students' behavioral and mental health. Whatever program you may want to look at. Earlier with safety, we talked about drug awareness. Build an awareness to the effects that cell phone use and social media have on mental health. Right? So, there's no secret, right? It's a way for the day from, for high school students now, trying to build awareness of the reasons behind that. And then also looking at motivational speakers for students. Actually, Mrs. Kaufman's been working on some of that. We have a list. Sometime we could look at and discuss and talk about what that is. And then last is stewardship. And that's, being intentional about spending taxpayer money, whatever we do, and spending responsibly. Consistent review of enrollment data, like maybe monthly with school capacity. So working towards that, Ms. Nurse already. And then, the R word, I hate to bring it up here, but here it is. Redistricting school attendance lines when necessary to utilize all school capacity. So we reduce the needs of our taxpayers. Let's not ask the taxpayers to build another school if we have room someplace else, right? That's reasonable. That's reasonable. And again, it's really not a popular topic, but I think it is part of good stewardship. So these 6 areas, sort of as we talked through it, and really I didn't list these in any really maybe particular order. Maybe safety is going to be the top maybe for us on most days, and excellence. But then I don't know where student behavior comes. I don't know if focus area is the word we use. It's goals. It's something else. But I think this is a place to start. And at the end of my conversation, what I'd like to do is now say we put it in writing for you. Caitlin's over there ready to take notes. What thoughts are, we forgot something, right? We left off this, or maybe this belongs over there, or maybe we should add this. This is, I think, a time for us, for you folks to have some conversations about what have you seen, or maybe we put it back on the agenda next meeting to say, let's kind of, my goal would be for us to sort of get something that we feel a little bit more as a board comfortable with, and then send it out to the community, to our teachers, to our parents, to get feedback from those folks. But I would like for us to feel like we've kind of hit our target areas, our goals, so to speak, and we kind of feel like we sort of know a general direction that we want to go. Right? I'll entertain any questions or conversations.
Absolutely. Board members, thank you for the time you've been putting into this and the meetings showing up, especially as we head over the summertime. Thanks for putting this together. We did leave all these stuff on, but we'll make sure that's on. Make sure it gets on our agenda there.
Yeah, put several words in there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize, Dr. Shipley.
It's all good.
I apologize.
On that note, I think we need to have an eye to the future and figure out where we're expecting growth and what we need planning-wise for schools and such. Is that, I didn't see it, but I could have missed it too.
So I see that under number 6, stewardship, consistent review of enrollment data and school capacity. We may want to add something about, continuing to monitor development and growth, student populations. But yeah, I think that is all part of that idea of, we've got the 5-year plan, but we have to watch next year, right? We can't just say it's coming, because I didn't anticipate, honestly, that we'd have 200 more students this year than we did last, right? So, but we do.
Well, and we also, this is a 5-year plan, but we need an eye to 10 years, 15 years they're not building any more land. So if we need to lock in some, we need to lock in some, and we need to figure out where that needs to be, and we need to get focused on that. My opinion.
No, it's a good point.
I want to say thank you because I feel like we have been pretty focused on that over the last couple of months, and just looking at our numbers and looking at things that we've had meetings privately as a board, talking and discussing about our future and what that looks like. So thank you for doing that. I know you've been working with other people behind the scenes, and thank you for continuing to look at that as we move forward. So, any board members? All right. Appreciate it. Board members, tonight, one of the things I wanted to bring up on the agenda tonight was our dress code policy. You'll find it in your folder as well. And I kind of wanted to have an open dialogue for the public as well to know that we're hearing you when it comes to what you're saying in the community, what you guys are seeing as parents. And I wanted to look at our dress code policy and say, as a new board, I was thinking recently how awesome it is to have all the new board members and working together. It's all 5 of us on the board. It's really been pretty cool transition to work with you guys. But I wanted to make this dress code policy our policy. So if there are things on here that we think are outdated and we don't think that are necessary to be on there, one of the things that I'm working in the high school, in middle school and all the schools, but particularly at the high school level, was the issue of hats. And growing up as a kid, my dad wouldn't allow me to have a hat on. At the dinner table, I told him, Dad, when I get out, I'm wearing my hat all the time when I get to the dinner table. And working with the high school administrators was one of the things that they constantly was dealing with is take a hat off, take a hat off, take a hat off. And sometimes they're just glad to see the kids come to school. We're glad to get them in here. We're glad that they're at school. We're glad that they're learning. And then they have to go address a hat issue that could possibly make the kid upset just because he has his hat on and he wants to wear his hat. I just don't think it's a big fight anymore where we're at. I'd like to have discussion about things like that. I did talk with some of my administrators and just kind of ask where they were at on issues like the hat issue. Like I don't want to have it in the policy if we're not going to enforce it, right? And I don't want it to be in there also if we think it's outdated. So you don't have to answer these questions tonight, but I did want to bring it up to the full board. If you want to say anything tonight, it's fine. But I wanted to bring it up to you to be able to look at, to be able to go over, and to be able to have conversations going forward, even with go back and talk with your administrators that are in your district, ask them what they think about certain things, and also where in your community. I think maybe 10 years ago, I think maybe the hat issue maybe was still an issue. Maybe it still is. I don't know. But I think it would be something to look at as we go forward. But I would like to make our student dress code our dress code, and making sure that if we have it in there, then we, as a board, we want to
some breaking of the other rules in the dress code, but my thought is that we either have our administrators enforce this policy or we don't have one. Because, you know, hats is one here, but it's like everything else got violated this week. Well, maybe not everything, maybe not gang activity, or, you know, that kind of, I don't know. But the hats weren't really the issue. And some of the stuff, you know, I didn't even realize, like, you know, leggings and jeggings, and, you know, and I wear jeggings, and I don't think it to be, you know, yoga pants. So I think that this policy needs to be updated. I think we need to get together as a board, talk about it, and I think that we need to hear from the community on it. Like, I really do, and especially on hats, if they're an issue in the classrooms, I want to know, and my vote will be with the majority.
Yeah, I'd like to see it be like a teacher's discretion in the classroom. And of course, elementary area, Miss Versa, no.
Yeah.
But,
I'll tell you why I know one that did.
well, please.
I would say that if you go to teacher discretion on something like hats, you're setting everybody up for the cell phone thing that we just ended.
Yeah.
You're allowing one teacher to be more permissive than another one. If you're not as permissive as the other one, that causes hardship. I'm old school. I'm not afraid to say I'm old school. I have a hat wearing family. My boys like hats. My husband wears hats everywhere, but I'm old school. So I would probably be in that category of teachers that would be like, no, in this classroom, you take your hat off, you're going to look me in the eye. You know, we're going to have good conversations about etiquette. I would be that teacher that would feel pitted up against somebody who is like, I don't need to fight that battle.
Yeah.
So that's why I shook my head no.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. No, I want you to voice your opinion. That's fine.
I don't think I would be on board with letting the teachers decide. We all do it one way or we don't do it one way, but we're all,
Well, the reason why I would say we put the teachers decide on that, teacher discretion would be, you know, if you've got a kid who walks in with a cowboy hat on and she can't see the kid's face, you know, around them, then that would be different than a ball cap wearing in the classroom. So, yeah, I think it's just, as Mrs. Gavin was talking about here, we just need to update, look at it, and make it more policy, and hear back from our teachers and our community administrators especially, and see what you guys think about it. So we want to make it our policy and just update it. So that was it.
I would also say,
go ahead, sir. I was just going to suggest maybe we have Dr. Shiflett send out a survey to our administrators, but also to our faculty and staff. And you can gather information about, you could do this a lot of different ways, but if you could do a survey that could get back to us, letting us know, that's better than us going around and calling and stopping by.
And I would like some conversation with the SROs, like if you know, Deputy Robinson says no hats, it's difficult, it's dangerous, I can't see this kid or whatever, there's things hidden in hats, then that's a no-go for me, right? So certainly take into account what our SROs feel about that with administration, teachers, parents, whatnot, when it comes to the hats. And if there's something, like you said, maybe this is outdated, right? Like yoga pants, I would bet you this week you would have probably sent home
So while we were talking about dress code, I did recently send a reminder to our principals that we also have an employee dress code, that we require professional dress, and sort of the minimum standard is what would be considered business casual. I did have a teacher reach out and said, thought that maybe that was maybe not acceptable in this era or this age, and that's not necessarily my opinion, but I would also seek the board's counsel with that, if there's a reason to look at that or change it.
For teachers,
Yes.
change the teacher dress code or tweak that. I'm happy to look at that. I want our teachers happy and comfortable and, you know.
Add that to the survey.
I mean, no, like, I'm not saying roll out of bed in your jammies and sweatpants, but certainly be comfortable. I just think at the elementary level, you're running after kids and, you know, I'd rather you be comfortable.
I am going to take a moment real quick there to advocate for our CTE teachers. It's hard to teach shop in a dress. So, and I think traditionally we've let the CTE teachers, if they're doing shop stuff, dress a little bit more down than standard. Just, I think that's been our tradition.
Yeah, I
They
think,
still need to look nice.
so I think maybe two of the rubs maybe, we don't wear jeans every day, right? So maybe we want to change that, I don't know, right? We are a profession, and we probably should look the part. I mean, we all look somewhat professionally dressed here this evening, representing Rockingham County Public Schools. And then the second one was non-PE teachers wearing shorts. Right? So where's your line, right? And that I will enforce whatever line we want, but Mr. Cross has done the jobs. That's where his line is. But where else?
Yeah, I like the fact that if you just say, well, it's everybody you want to, then you kind of be okay. Next week we can get some administrators and some teachers out there to look forward to. And like you said, teachers are professionals, and I'd like them to let them look professional when they come to work. So it's definitely a conversation to have. I don't know so much in the survey as the teachers as what's going to be is what we want to see as a board, elected officials, what we want to see in that dress code when it comes to our employees.
And I think the business casual, I did do a little Google search to make sure I understood it, right? It's not, wearing dresses and it's khakis and nice shirts and polos, right? So there's some flexibility, and, my comment to teachers has been, I really don't care what shoes you wear as long as you have on shoes, right? If it's tennis shoes or whatever makes you comfortable. So I do think you can be comfortable and do your work, but we're also professionals, right? My old football coach, Joe Taylor, used to say, you dress sharp, you play sharp, right? There's something to sort of this mindset of looking at the part, what you're doing. So, but we'll be happy to have this conversation about it. Want to bring it up while we're here?
We're kind of two yellow quotes. That was a good conversation.
Just on the tail end of that, I like the term business casual. And I'll just give you my example. While at elementary school, I was in a fourth grade classroom working so with a teacher, and there was one of the JMU, not an intern, but like
Student teacher, practicum.
practicum. Yeah, she was in there, and she
there are sharp political divisions in our country, in our county. That's easy enough to see on a regular basis. It also seems to me that Americans on both sides of the political spectrum tend to feel like their opponents are trying to shut down their freedom of expression, while at the same time not being self-critical enough to see how their own behavior is doing the same thing. I see that on all sides. I also think Americans are often both quite sensitive to being offended by the expression of the other, and also insensitive to what it means to respect the other. I often read letters to the editor and the DNR by a particular guy whose opinions I tend to disagree with pretty strongly. But recently he wrote something that told me we could have a good conversation about our disagreements. He wrote, "In our Constitution, the answer to speech we don't like is more speech, not suppressing the speaker." I've been having the same thought. And I've been considering this idea in the context of the flag policy passed at the last meeting. I did appreciate the changes that were made to the one you voted on as opposed to the one I saw online before. I thought those were positive, but I still had concerns about the aspects of the policy that restricted what flags can be displayed. I'm actually quite sympathetic personally to the concern about school employees displaying what might be political flags. I admit I'm speaking from lack of experience here because I'm not a teacher or any other employee, but I believe that if I worked at a public school, I would probably err on the careful side when it came to displaying such symbols. Now, I have not heard of any students finding a symbol like a flag displayed at school so troubling that it distracts from their educational experience. But if that did happen, yes, that would be a problem to be solved. But I think that there are issues with solutions that respond to potentially divisive expression by prohibiting such expression. Such top-down approaches that essentially seek to control behavior do not actually raise up the expectation that we learn how to respect or to understand each other. Instead of building relationships, community engagement, or trust, I think this approach ends up putting up walls and calcifying divisions. Instead of calling for a change of culture, they call for obedience. Such an approach does nothing to address the root causes of the problem. I don't want to oversimplify here, but to raise up an alternative approach for consideration in the future. Instead of policies that restrict expression, we might think of policies that expand expression and ensure safe places for it. We might focus on policies that clearly identify the values and goals we wish our schools to aspire to, and alongside it, processes that clearly allow community members to express concerns when they believe those values and goals are not being lived up to. I'll stop there.
Thank you. Next on the list tonight is Ellen Karen.
Thank you. Just wanted to report that we redistricted this week with no tears. Not that I'm endorsing it, but we did it, and everyone's fine. So it's all fine. I wanted to thank the board for the changes in the cell phone policy last month. We all know that technology has great potential and advantages that all of our kids will need to be trained in and well versed in for their future success. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that, quote, children and young people aged 5 to 17 have no more than 2 hours of sedentary recreational screen time per day, not including schoolwork. When researched, I found from various sources that kids within this age range spend anywhere from 3 to 7 hours on non-school screens per day on average. Maybe some spend more than that. I taught elementary school upper grades for several years, and during that time, one of the highest priorities in my early evaluations was incorporating technology into each lesson in different capacities. For example, how do we pull different apps into spelling practice and tests? What math games can we play to reinforce the math standards on the iPad? What fast finisher apps could be used for the gifted kids? And 15 years later, I wonder if we ask ourselves why. Has any of that incorporation of technology via iPads or Chromebooks actually had a positive impact on the educational outcomes of students? Are they better readers, better writers, more socially capable,
more focused, more attentive. I believe that partly because of the use of more technology in the classroom, kids are actually less successful in these competencies than before incorporating these tools. It seems that we're actually perpetuating some of the attention deficiency and behavioral and social problems because of forcing kids on screens and into technology when doctors across the nation recommend against it. Where we can guarantee kids are getting their screen time fill and learning those skills at home, wouldn't it be wise to make school a place without screens at times that foster critical thinking, patience in learning, social interaction and conversation, and even, crazy, quiet and uninterrupted thinking without notifications? Public educators and policymakers did a great job 20 years ago seeing the need of more tech education on the horizon and making changes to incorporate that. I think it's time we devote some serious attention and policy making and a plan for potentially pulling back some readily available technologies in the classroom. I have questions that have been swirling in my mind, and it's awful because I don't have a lot of suggestions and solutions, but there's lots of observations like why we're forcing young kids onto Chromebooks and iPads as early as we are, why middle schoolers have no other option than to take home the computer and do no work on paper and pencil. So anyway, thank you for your time. Just some problems.
Thank you, Ms. Karen. Next on the list tonight is Alexis Phillips.
Hello, my name is Alexis Phillips, and I'm a student at Broadway High School. I'm incredibly active in extracurriculars, yet my ability to be successful in them is being hindered. Due to a recent school board ruling, the only way that my coaches, advisors, and teachers may contact me is through an app called Rooms, and to put it extremely bluntly, Rooms is awful. Rooms comes with a variety of challenges that make it hard to effectively communicate. For one, communication on my end may only be one-to-one. If I, as a CTSO officer or team captain, need to send out a message to other members, it must be done one-on-one, rather than sending one text to a group. What's more, these one-on-one channels are unsupervised, meaning the adults in charge of various things have no indicator on what students are discussing. Another issue that arises with Rooms is that it's not easily accessible. In order to download Rooms, you must look up a specific app for RCPS. From there, you must register using a school account, and then go to your settings to enable syncing and notifications. Students aren't doing that. On top of that, students don't know to do that. The only reason I know is because I specifically asked about it, and I had to get a multi-part discussion and explanation due to how confusing it was. Not to mention the process could be completely different on different devices. The reality of this is that only certain students will have it on their phone, and of those students, only certain ones will get notifications. Now let's look at what this means. Only some students will be getting notifications. So let's say a practice is moved or gets canceled. There'll be many students who aren't checking their phone because they have a notification, and very few students are pulling out their Chromebook to check their Rooms. Meaning parents will drive their kids to school, with some of them living 20 to 30 minutes away, only to realize there is no practice. No parent wants to do that. Beyond that, there are safety concerns. For example, I will be going to the Massachusetts State Fair with my FFA chapter this September, as will several other students across the county. While there will be different groups in different places, and advisors need a reliable way to get a hold of their students. Rooms is not reliable. Many of you are parents. How many of you would feel comfortable sending your kids to another state, knowing that the adult in charge does not have a good method of communication with their child? Wouldn't you rather a reliable app be utilized? I understand the point of only having one app per county, but that one app should not be Rooms. The concerns I have brought up have been raised by teachers, coaches, students,
she makes as many great apps, we were trying to have it so that families only have to down one app, right? We've had that request too, right? We've had families who come in and say, why do I have to download 3 or 4 different apps to know what my kid is going on? Just have one app that does this. And so rooms may have some holes, we'll have to look and investigate, but also we want to make sure that any of these conversations are under the auspices of our public schools domain.
Still, you brought a lot of good points tonight for us to consider and talk about, so thank you for coming to the school board meeting tonight and bringing this up, okay?
Thank you for being willing to hear me out.
Absolutely. Have a good school year as well. Yeah. I have kids, so it's a school year too, so getting them up a bit, or getting them to bed and getting them up in the morning, so. This leads us to school board comments, I believe, tonight. And I'm going to start on the right-hand side and start with Ms. Berkeley.
Okay. So I just wanted to just put a couple things out there. I know we moved our meeting, so we don't have a meeting fair week. One thing that I had heard from some of our teachers, right, that's the same week as back to school week. If there's a way that we can kind of talk about that, there were a few teachers that I know missed their kids showing animals or winning awards or things like that. So I don't know if we just can look a year in advance and try to see if there's something we can do. While we have the week off for Fair Week, right, let's accommodate our teachers too, because they also have little kids. And just if there's a way, while we're talking about this, if there's a way we can kind of, I mean, I don't want to do back to school week a week early, but if there's a way to accommodate them, I would like to. So I don't want parents missing out on stuff with their kids. So that's just one thing that popped up. The other thing was awesome tour today for the students here. I thought that was amazing. I was not prepared for students to walk us through and, you know, give us the whole walkthrough and explain everything, but it was awesome. I was really, really impressed. I love Mr. Dickinson, the Democracy 250. I'm super excited about that. Like, I had goosebumps. I'm like so pumped for that. The other one, I wanted to just, if Dr. Shipley could speak to the free lunch program. I had some questions from parents. How did we choose which students or which schools got that? And I just maybe to put out there that we didn't get to choose it, that it's a program. So speak to that for.
So it's, and Ms. Williams may want to address this, but maybe I know she can do better than I can, but it's the community eligibility provision. So it's looking at the folks who live within that community. So it wasn't the school board choosing. Number of, I guess, families who received some free or
benefits like SNAP and TANF. So it's based on families who qualify for programs, not based on income.
And it's a percentage of those students.
and within the community. So if that particular community reaches that threshold, that's how it works.
I'm not going to okay. Maybe it's a conversation before. All right. Ms. Katie? Search. Ms. Moore?
Just want to thank, if you're watching online, there's not a lot of people in the auditorium, but I would like to thank those of you who can't come out, and I want to recognize our students. I think we have 3, and by my eye, I think we only have 3, but if you can raise your hand if you're a student. Raise your hand. I know. Thank you guys for coming. We're excited to have you here today, and definitely, I know some of these, so you're definitely the reason I do this. So thank you guys for coming. And also, I forgot at the top to thank Mr. Reed for fixing the turn at the back of the school. Now we can maybe get a bus through. Now I can drive a bus, so I'm super excited that I can maybe get a bus through there, because I was bummed that you got it fixed just at the time that I'm not dropping kids off anymore. But I know it'll help generations now, so thank you for your work on that. It's much better, so I just want to acknowledge that. Thank you.
I just want to say thanks to the speaker for addressing the use of technology. I think that's an important component as we're thinking about comprehensive planning and where that fits in. I don't know if it's its own focus or topic, but it's in there somewhere. And you know, I was part of helping do some of the rollout in Rockingham County Public Schools. And you know, our mantra was, we wanted to provide the resource whenever it was needed. And we really tried to shy away from making it a mandate, right? Because sometimes technology is not the best tool. And we have to acknowledge that, and just a piece of paper and pencil works really well, right? Other times it is a really great tool. If you're trying to do an assessment to see what students understand about the Declaration of Independence and wanted to know how many students got, question 1 correct or incorrect. I mean, technology is a great tool to help do all that, data disaggregation, but sometimes it, maybe we rely on it too much, I'm not sure, but thank you for bringing that up.
Thanks for everybody showing up tonight and coming out to the school board meeting, and thank you for our speakers. I will say, Mr. Muslim, you said earlier he wasn't aware of any disruptions that disrupted students when it comes to the flag. There have been. There's been examples where students have felt uncomfortable and had to sign out of classes, drop class, and take up another class because of that. So there are examples of that. We do have reason to go into closed session. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session?
I move that the board enter closed session meeting to discuss and consider the following pursuant to provisions of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711. A1, personnel-specific public officers, appointees, or employees for the purpose of considering such individuals' assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, or resignation. And A2, one or more particular students specifically related to requests regarding compulsory school attendance based on religious beliefs or the inability to benefit from education at the school that would involve disclosure of information contained in the scholastic record concerning a student.
Thank you, Ms. Royal. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Burgoyne. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes.